Sample problem 2.7, write the molecular formula of ethanol based on its ball and stick model, shown here. Okay, so remember there's a color code for these ball and stick models. And if it's black, it's carbon. So I'll shade that one in. The symbol for carbon is a C. If it's red, that's oxygen. And that's an O. And if it's white, that's hydrogen. That's H. And if it's blue, that's nitrogen, and that's N. So there are other elements, of course, have colors as well, but this particular compound that we're talking about here, ethanol, is an example of what's called an organic compound. Organic compounds are compounds that have both carbon and hydrogen, but they could also have nitrogen or oxygen or both, or chlorine or sulfur or any of a number of other elements. But they do have carbon and hydrogen. So ethanol is an organic compound. So all you got to do is count up the number of atoms of each color. There are two black. Black is carbon, so that's C2. There is one oxygen, red, so that's oxygen. And then there are 6 hydrogens, 6 little white ones, H6. Now, although technically that's not incorrect, generally when you're writing out the chemical formulas, the molecular formulas of organic compounds, you generally put the carbon first, then the hydrogen, then if there's nitrogen, and then if there's oxygen, usually in that order. So we would write this as C2, H6, O. Okay? And that would be your molecular formula. Now, I will point out that sometimes molecular formulas are broken out in such a way as to give us additional information about the compound. So, for example, you might see C2H5OH. Okay, so if you look at the picture, if you look at the diagram, you'll see that there's an oxygen and a hydrogen off to the left, OH we call that. So when you see a formula that has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, if you see the OH in that formula, that right there tells you it's an alcohol. And so examples of alcohols would be, this is an example, right? It has carbon, has hydrogen, and it has an OH. This one's called methanol. The one we just saw, this one's called ethanol. C3H7OH, this one is called propanol. And so what happens is you just add 1 extra carbon and 2 extra hydrogens, and you keep the OH in there, and you get the next alcohol in the series, in the sequence. So meth, eth, prop, bute. Then the names become geometric in structure. Pentanol. So if you see a name of a compound and it ends in -ol, like methanol. That's an indication that it's an alcohol. This would be hexanol. Okay. That's called the ball and stick model, and then the molecular formula is either this one or alternatively this one.